8:02 Central African Time. Hello, Sunny Bonani. Welcome to the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League season. Welcome to the fourth race of this season's calendar. We are in Imola in Italy for this latest exhibition, and we will pretty soon be getting a sense of this next chapter of this season's championship battle. Don Ravico, C. Clay, Smirch Django, Zotal, Tapiso are among the drivers represented here, and we will soon see who will manage to snatch a little semblance of momentum. But thank you very much for joining us. We will, in due course, be getting into the nitty-gritties as far as this season and this race are concerned. Don Rabico and Smirch Django, the top two drivers in the driver standings. C. Clay currently third. Definitely Duke. What a season it's been for them in the top tier. Currently fourth in the driver standings. Tato, aka Loveness, with some sensational showings, is currently fifth in the driver standings. Donovan Laka is sixth. Tiago Maestro, also another debutant in the top tier, has a total of 12 points, currently seventh overall. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, is eighth. Grimjaw is ninth. The Nucho is 10th. Zotal is 11th. Simpiwe Zandi, aka Simps, is 12th. Romeo Mandla Massingo is 13th. Tapiso is 14th. Sage Figure of Speech is 15th. Then Van Kobe is 16th on that single championship point. The rest of the drivers, that being Fensei, the 86er, Billy Hendricks, and Seppo Temba, have yet to register points in this brand new season. So that is Seppo Temba, Billy Hendricks, the 86er, Fensei, on 0 championship points. This, however, is Tapiso. The latest to stake their claim on a decent showing here today. Tapiso, as usual, wasting no time and is the first driver out on track. Longtime viewers of the BrakeAway Racing League will be quite used to seeing Tapiso, regardless of which constructor he is currently driving for. It used to be Ferrari, now it is that bright royal blue of Williams. Tapiso looking to make good on his own season, and we will see whether or not he can get something very good together. Tiago Maestro was in the comments, comfortable enough to be giving everybody a bit of an emotional word in the comments. We'll see what Tiago can do in today's race. 12 total points. Tiago was, of course, one of the more entertaining drivers in recent times. And we'll see whether or not Tiago can keep that up as Tapiso crosses the line to be the first to set a representative lap around this circuit. Welcome to Imola. Welcome to the Tapiso show, if you will. Now tackling the first chicane and looking very good, very comfortable. Those steering inputs very smooth, and Tapiso is moving like a man with a lot of hours on the simulator, seemingly well prepared, but not quite as speedy there through that chicane. 24.331 is the split at the end of the first sector. Duke has started their push lap. Debo Crocodile has started their push lap. How will they fare in comparison to Tapiso, who is still looking mighty good here? And he's, of course, going to take the two right-hand corners to stand it up the hill. And it's no issue for Tapiso. Still looking good. Now looking to conclude the second sector with a split of a 50.667. So that is the early benchmark as Tapiso rides the curves there, looking to make sure that he keeps it nice and clean as he will now send it down the hill towards the final couple of corners and point it down towards the main straight to set the first representative time. You saw how close Tapiso is playing it as far as possible track limit incursions, but it is still good. It is still clean. It is 116.557 for the Williams driver. Definitely Duke will be next up now, attacking the final two corners I think that is Tepiso, whose slow-moving car is bringing out the yellow flags, but we'll not pay too close attention to that. This is definitely Duke, who's been sensational this entire season, and a 114.893 is nothing to be scoffed at. Definitely Duke shines in this first push run on their fast lap. Thiago Maestro sadly hasn't validated. Zotal is still valid. Let's see now how it'll go. Kid K says, Seaflay, whatever you do not underfuel. How's that for a benchmark? How's that for a marker? Definitely Duke, 114.893. Early doors here in this short qualifying session. Here comes Zotal's answer. 115.908 is P2 for the Red Bull contender. Tucks right in between the two laps, which are valid, that have been set at this particular point in time. Seaflay, the would-be claimant of the throne, once again tackles the first chicane, not quite nailing that first apex, but I tell you what, he's still carrying so much speed as the slow-moving Ferrari makes sure it does not impede the McLaren of Seaflay. Oh, and now tackles the second chicane, and that sector one split is a 24.147, a little wide of the apex through this left-hander now, so perhaps it's a case of just getting a little bit warmed up, but Seaflay being Seaflay will not be deterred at all. Will take whatever pace, whatever momentum, whatever semblance of the tiniest advantage he can through sectors 2 and 3. Up the hill he goes. Slight correction there of the steering wheel on the exit of that left-hander, 49.978. Sector 2 split is very good as he rides the curbs, and he took, the second part of that chicane quite heavily over that particular curve is Seaflay, leaving nothing on the table, leaving nothing to chance, as he looks to become the 5th to set a representative time, but of course the first overall. Only 12.5 minutes of the session remaining for Seaflay to stake their claim on pole position. Will this be the case for the McLaren driver? Close but no cigar. 15.444 is good enough for P2 for the 3-time champion of the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Seaflay is second quickest. We saw a couple of moments there which may have compromised Seaflay. No matter that he did not like us, so we will now hop on instead to Smirts Django, who has just crossed the line to begin their first push lap. I beg your pardon. Less than 12 minutes in this session to go. On board we go with the red-hot Scuderia Ferrari. Now tackling the first sector, here comes the second chicane of the track. Down through 5th gear as Django looks to take as much speed as possible. 23.987 split at the end of the first sector, again, is something to pay very close attention to. Don Radico has also begun their push lap, but of course we're going to watch to see how Django's looks as you see how liberal he feels in terms of pushing that car to its absolute limits. Now, up the hill he goes. He takes those right-hander into the left-hander, and he's still looking very comfortable with a 49.587 split at the end of the second sector. Rides the curbs, does the Ferrari driver, with 11 minutes of the session to go, looking to trouble at minimum Seaflay with the kind of splits that we've seen, but I'll tell you what, definitely Duke maybe is not going to be so comfortable. Oh, not quite the best entry into the penultimate corner there. How dearly will that cost Django? He's still, of course, valid. He's still pushing, and he comes towards the line. It is oh so close. That moment towards the end of that run there may have compromised him. 114.913 is very, very close to the benchmark set by definitely Duke, who, of course, has been sensational. Sadly for Don Radico, it is an invalidated lap. So we'll hop on over to Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. Now tackling the second sector. Up the hill comes the Alpine, and he's looking like he was very comfortable through that sequence of corners, which we've seen catch out a number of drivers. 50.304 sector 2 split is decent, all things considered. Rides the curves, but not too much to be compromised on the exit thereof. Now, it's going to go down the hill towards the final 2 corners on this iconic circuit here in Imola. It is Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. I'll tell you what, the finish line is not so distant. Here he comes, screaming towards the line, but how close will he get? The answer is 4th quickest thus far. 115.774 is Debo Crocodile's answer. Teppo Temba is on track. Teppo Temba is on the hunt here as we'll look to see how good he may fare in this shortened single qualifying session. Welcome if you've just joined us. It's a 50.998 split at the end of Sector 2-0 for Teppo Temba, who is not looking very comfortable there through that chicane. He has spoken quite openly, has Teppo Temba, about the current struggles to adjust to the lack of ABS assists, which does, of course, impact the way that the car brakes. You're much more prone to locking up the brakes there, which is why we're seeing Teppo Temba struggle through some of the traction zones of these tracks. And I'll tell you what, 117.123 is not representative of this man's true pace, judging by what we've seen him do in seasons past. Here comes Don Ravico trying to answer that first invalidated run. Now with a second push lap. These tires already 2 laps old. It's going to take something special, I'll tell you what. But Don being Don may yet get it done. Not the cleanest of navigations through that initial part of that first chicane, but he will look to carry some momentum through sectors 2 and 3 as he first looks to complete, of course, the first sector. Let's not get carried away. 23.941 is that split at the end of sector 1. There's a... It looks like it might be a Williams ahead, or it might be a Red Bull, the Red Bull possibly of Zotal, currently on their outlap ahead of Don Ravico. So we do expect that Red Bull to make way as Don now enters the stretch of the track, which goes up the hill. Slow-moving Red Bull makes way as Don Ravico has found about 4/10 worth of improvement, rides those curves quite heavily there. Don just looking to set an initial representative lap so as to not worry too much about... of course, getting knocked down the pecking order here. Oh, he's on the limit there as he tackles the penultimate corner. He was really on the line there, but it is still valid. It's still going to count. And Don Ravico takes it straight to the very top with 3-lap-old soft compound tires. How about that? Sensational stuff by the driver in the Mercedes. Cicle is looking to answer each of the top 3 drivers now. He's been nudged out. Oh, and as we say that, he goes wide there in the second sector. So Cicle going to have to give it another push, another go altogether. The Nuccio has just crossed the line for the 9th quickest time, a 1:16.288. Representing Ferrari, a full house of the Scuderia contingent represented here at Imola today. Ban Kobe is in the lobby, yet to set their representative time. He's got less than 7 minutes to do so. We'll see whether or not he can do something special here today. Cepiso is out on track and has found more than a 10th worth of improvement now come the end of Sector 1. What can the Superstar Williams driver do now, looking to tackle this middle sector as best as he possibly can? He's going to go into this right-hander, double sequence of right-handers, of course, and take it straight up the hill to keep it as clean as it possibly can as Titus cheers on Don Ravico in the comment section. Tolu Wanini is cheering, says it's a very technical track. Absolutely not the easiest of circuits to navigate here. We've seen Don Ravico and Duke, as well as Smirch Django, the only 3 drivers to set times within the 1 minute 14 seconds as things currently stand. Cicle, of course, with that time in the 1:15, Cicle came back into the pits to Piso. Now giving it an almighty push towards the line. He is up to an improvement. It's P9 for Tepiso still at 1 minute 16.112 is only good enough for P9 as things currently stand. What about Thiago Maestro, the rookie in their rookie season? Not quite finding improvement come the end of Sector 1. Now he's definitely down on his time. This may yet be perhaps a not quite a push lap at this particular point. So we'll see how Thiago Maestro fares now. Perhaps we'll give it another push from scratch. Or will he come back into the pits? Nope. Yeah, Thiago Maestro coming back, straight back into the pits. Tepiso, of course, whose onboards we watched just a couple of minutes ago, is now making the way back on an in-lap with 5 minutes of this session to go. We have yet to see Ban Kobe go out on a proper push lap. He's got less than 5 minutes to do so. Everybody biding their time in the pits. Ban Kobe has left the session. Oh no, do hope that is not a disconnect or something along those lines, as Tepiso finds their way back into the pits. It is Teppo Temba who is back to try one more time. As Man Ray says, Billy Hendricks did all of that just to possibly get relegated back to Tier 2 for non-attendance? What is going on, Billy Hendricks? Questions being asked by Man Ray as September tries to catch it. Once again, Ban Kobe has been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. September struggling here to get a sense of the controls, as you can see. Really a long adjustment period for the Aston Martin driver. And long adjustment period to the ABS assist being turned completely off in this brand spanking new BrakeAway Racing League season. Work to do for Teppo Temba. Despite that, he still found improvements at the end of that. It's a 116.765, but down in P11, languishing is Teppo Temba. As I do wonder how many more drivers that may yet be able to join us in these final few minutes, so that they could be at least in time to start the race proper. Well, Smirch Django is still in the pits as things currently stand. Their teammate Nucho is out, so we'll see how they fare. Donovan Laka, one half of the musical duo Lemon and Herb, is now out on track, looking to do something special over here. Seaquate is on the verge of beginning there. Oh no, Donovan Laka has taken too many liberties, was pushing too much. Did not have a good sense of where the limits were as far as track limits are concerned. So sadly, Donovan Laka is going to have to go all around, all over again. This is Seaquate's answer to the benchmark set by Don Radico, Duke, and Smirch Django. First chicane, brand new, soft compound tires for the superstar McLaren driver. Now into the second chicane of this iconic track. Very technical, as Tolu said in the comment section. Here we go now. He's found 3/10 worth of improvements at Seaquate. So as is usually the case, he is not here to play around. He's given it an almighty push, and the champion, the current champion, Don Radico, has just crossed the line to begin their final push lap. So we'll hop on over to the Mercedes driver to see how he fares. Oh, between now and then, Seaquate really taking all the liberties there. As you saw, coming through the hill, he's found almost 6/10, more than 6/10 of a second come the end of Sector 2. It is sensational improvement by Seaquate. Can he find a miracle now in this third and final sector of this track? Seaquate, who has been nothing short of imperious in qualifying and in race trim in all the seasons thus far, sends that papaya orange McLaren screaming towards the line, and Seaquate crosses the line, but it's P2. It's close but no cigar, as Don Rabico still holds the advantage. And I'll tell you what, Don Rabico has found more than a 10th worth of improvement now as he rides the curbs in the final part of this track. Is now going to send it all the way down the hill and is going to look to stretch his advantage with about a minute of this session still to go. The 86er Galalet Sang has joined just in time. Don Rabico, as you're seeing on the screen, is also on the limits over there through the final sequences of the corners. Will it be an improvement? Yes, it is! It's a 114.277 for the superstar Mercedes driver who consolidates his position at the top of the pile over here. Here comes Zotal. Oh, he's straight into the gravel. That'll compromise him now. Oh, Zotal has a huge spin, and we can see the driver's body language there as he had a heart and mouth moment. Sadly for him, it is not going to be possible to improve over there. Trying to get a sense of where exactly Duke is. The answer is just a couple of meters ahead of Smirch Django. That is Django's car that you can see in the background. This is Duke on his final push lap, as we're seeing some of your responses to what Don Rabico has done. It is now in your court, the ball, that is. And I'm speaking to you, Duke. I'm speaking to you, Django. The Alfa Romeo driver looking sensationally speedy since this session has begun, as Man Ray is ribbing Zotal in the comment section already. Duke is giving it a one final almighty go, and Duke has found 4/10 of a second by the end of that second sector. So I'll tell you what, it is not going to be straightforward for Don Rabico at this point in time. What a season this man is having. What a sensational Sensational debut rookie season in the top tier for definitely Duke. But can he do it as he comes screaming towards the line? The answer is no. Close but no cigar. What about Smirch Jangle, who has also improved, coming towards the line now? And the answer is also no. It's going to be P4 for Jangle, but definitely Duke goes up to P2. Will start on the front row alongside Don Rabico. Now we have Debo Crocodile and Thiago Maestro looking to complete their checks, but sadly for Thiago Maestro at the end of Sector 2, it looked like he may not have found sufficient improvement. Debo Crocodile is back in the pits. We've still got Tapiso, Danuccio, and Sepultemba out on track as we'll get a sense of just how well they will be doing towards the end of this session. It is Don Radical in pole position as things currently stand, as Thiago Maestro has abandoned the... sent it straight into the wall, Thiago, as Tapiso is also back in the pits. What about Danuccio on a final push? It's 116.176, the best that he could do, and that will be P10 for the Ferrari driver. Man, oh man, oh man. What a quality session. Don Rabico in pole position alongside Duke in the front row. As Tolu says, the top four in the league of their own. Cikle in that second row alongside Smirch Jangle. What a battle that will be for the former teammates. P5 for Thiago, Debo Crocodile in P6, Zotal 7th quickest time of the qualifying session, and we have Donathan Laka in 8th, Tapiso 9th, Danuccio 10th, Sepultemba 11th, the 86er Gallo Latsang made it in time to be able to start this race from P12. Band Colby seems to be having network issues. We'll start from the back of this pack as well. What a quality session we have had. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to top tier racing action. As you can see, the margins fine, to put it mildly. Just 4/100ths of a second separating Don Rabico and definitely Duke. Don Rabico says, you know what, it's been a lack of practice. I could have had much more as far as performance, as far as time, as far as, results are concerned over here. 1/10 of a second is the gap that Cikle was to the pole sitter. 3/10 back was Smirch Jango. Thiago Maestro, daylight between him and Don Rabico. 1.2 seconds is that margin. 3 sets of tires used for Duke, the same for Thiago Maestro, with a sprinkling of medium tires there. Tepo Temba, 4 sets of soft compound tires, but still struggling and adapting to these new regulations in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. 3 tires each for the likes of Debo Crocodile and Zotal and Donathan Laka, as well as 2 sets of tires used by the Nucho. Tier 1 is premium content, says former champion of the top tier, that being Titus Malama. It's good to see you in the comment section. It's good to see everybody joining us here for this sensational race. Please remember to like the stream if you have not done so already. Subscribe to our channel if you're new around these parts. We race on Wednesdays, that is tier 2, from 8 p.m. and Thursdays, sometimes at 7:30 p.m., sometimes 8 p.m., depending on the number of drivers available. That is a Central African time, of course. This is BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to the top tier. Welcome to Imola. We've got a smattering of clouds in the skies as the people in the Paddock Club, those with the pound seats, are cheering on their favorite competitors. I want to hear what your expectations, your thoughts are for how this race might just pan out. We had an entertaining Tier 2 race last night. Fingers crossed, it's going to be a good one. Raymond Mantosi Manray says, let it rain, hoping for a sprinkling of drama or chaos. Is Man Ray channeling Selby Sango, who was always down for a little bit of rain or two in the comment section in seasons past. But we will see whether or not that will come true. It's blue skies with a little bit of clouds for now, so anything can happen. Quite a bit of a stoppage that we have got here. So while we wait for the action to resume here at Imola, we're going to be watching, of course, the front runners very, very closely. Django, Don Rabico, Cikle. fine margins between each of those three, currently occupying the top three spots in the driver's standings. I'll tell you what, definitely Duke is, well, not in the top four today, not in the top two, by a fluke. He's been one of the four quickest drivers this season. I'll tell you what it is. 5 lights, it is the only time the South Africans look forward to the lights going out. We are racing in Monaco, but it's definitely Duke versus Don Rabico in the run towards turn number 1. Sikle has got the inside line versus Smirch Django, and we do hope that there's not going to be any coming together. Oh, Sikle almost made contact there with Django. Oh, it looks like Thiago Maestro may have had a huge moment. They bump wheels in the midfield. There's a Ferrari which has gone spinning. It's the Nuccio who loses momentum as we get a yellow flag in sector 1, but thankfully no safety car. It's Don Rabico from Sikle from Smirch Django, and Devo Crocodile is now up to 4th, taking advantage of that huge moment, and Duke has been one of the biggest losers of that huge moment of contact in turn 1, now running all the way down in P13. He's fallen all the way down as Duke, but it looks like his front wing is still intact. So what could have been a fantastic lap 1, a fantastic race and prospect, is now going to have to be a recovery drive as Don Rabico streaks ahead of Sikle as well as Smirch Django, as those two competitors are now looking to catch up to the race leader and the championship leader, of course, in that Mercedes seat. Drama at the beginning of this race here in Imola, as we'll now just get a sense of just how much has changed. It is a place gained each for Sikle and Django, courtesy of Duke tumbling down the order, and it looks like Debo Crocodile gained 2 places, courtesy of that early melee, and it looks like we're going to get some early action here between the likes of Thiago, Zotal, Jonathan Laka. On board we go with the Williams driver, as Zotal was looking to defend, or rather to go on the attack versus Thiago Maestro, but Thiago said, "You shall not pass." Zotal took a little bit of grass there at that particular portion of the track, but they're going to run very, very closely in this mini TRS train in just the second lap of a total 32 in this race. Tepiso has caught up. Tepiso had also gained a place courtesy of the likes of Duke tumbling down the order, so it's going to be a lot of work for Duke to do in this recovery race that he now has between now and the end of proceedings. On board we go with Tepiso, who is doing his absolute best to try and keep up with their teammates, as well as the Red Bull of Zotal and the Alpha Tauri of Thiago Maestro. This is the situation as far as tire compounds are concerned. It's medium tires, which seem to be the compound of choice for most of this grid. Only Smirch Django, the Nuccio, and the 86er opting for those set of hard tires earlier on. So nobody having come into the pits at the end of the first lap, thankfully, meaning that, well, Duke did not take significant enough damage to need to change a wing or anything of that sort. So that's good news for him. Tepiso now hovering at that 1 second mark before catching up to their teammate. Donathan Laka is within touching distance of Zotal ahead, and the Red Bull driver, of course, is hunting down Thiago Maestro, who has looked very good in their debut season. We saw Thiago make a couple of errors in those opening races, which cost him dearly, but I'll tell you what, as this season has gone on along, we are looking to see the very best of Thiago Maestro, and right now he is looking to challenge, as this race goes on, possibly to have a say, who knows, in the podium places. But lots of racing still to go, total of 32 laps, don't you forget, as Donathan Laka sends that Williams straight up the hill, looking to get within closer touching distance to the back of Zotal. Meanwhile, down in the lower midfield, it is Teppo Temba, about a second off the Nuccio in this third lap. Behind him is the 86er, who is now being hunted down by Duke. Oh, Duke almost crashing into the back of the 86er as Don Rabico sets a 17.749, the quickest lap of this race thus far. Django is still fighting it out with Sikle at the front, so we're going to hop on board with that battle. Oh, Django was also close there as these two former teammates and fierce rivals approached that first chicane. Fourth lap gone, Sikle, Django fighting it out. Oh, Smirch Django, seemingly from that perspective, had a slight twitch of the rear, but he still kept that car pressurizing Sikle as much as he possibly could. Lost a couple of tenths of a second. He was well within half a second, but now is hovering again. Well, he's at that mark, perhaps courtesy of ERS, so he's using up his battery. Look at that yellow bar at the bottom of that steering wheel. Gives an indication of how much electrical power is remaining. That yellow bar is, of course, depleted down to its lower embers, if you will. So Smirch Django definitely has some work to do to make sure that he does not lose the clutches, or does not let go of the coattails, proverbially speaking, that Seaflay is running there. Meanwhile, Donathan Laka versus Zotal. This is the battle for P6. It was a 3-car fight involving Thiago Maestro, but it seems like Zotal has turned his attention from the AlphaTauri ahead to the rear mirrors, which have the threatening prospect of Donathan Laka now coming down the main straight. Which way will he send it? It's Donathan Laka onto the outside towards the first chicane, and Donathan Laka gets the overtakes done. Zotal will now have to fight from P7. Oh, Donathan Laka had a slight switch of the rear wheel there, which compromised their exit on that chicane, so Zotal will know all he has to do now is apply the pressure. Watch him make another mistake, possibly. No, almost came close to, getting friendly with the gravel there to Don, but managed to keep it running and keep it well together over there. It's the fifth of a total 32 laps. If you've just joined us, welcome to the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Please like the stream, subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Zotal, a veteran of the top tier, pretty much since the founding of the BrakeAway Racing League, has seen many competitors come and go over the seasons, over the years, and this time out started his season perhaps not as well as he would have wanted. He's down in P11 in the driver's standings of Zotal. Only 6 total points gained this season, as he now loses all that momentum. He slipped well out of Donathan Laka's DRS, and I'll tell you what, Donathan Laka on a mission over here, now within a second, and indeed within a DRS of Thiago Maestro. So all he needs to do, Don, is just keep that pressure on, and he may yet be on for something special. Meanwhile, Duke is going on the outside of the Ferrari of the Nuccio, and well before they get to the first chicane, will be up to P11, the cleanest, simplest of overtakes for the Alfa Romeo driver. 5-lap old mediums compared to the Nuccio, who is running those hard tires, presumably Nuccio 86er. And Django, of course, on those hard tires will have a much longer first stint before coming into the pits to change, as the regulations demand. So they will be coming in at a much later stage, and Duke is now pressurizing Seppo Temba, putting him under all the pressure. Seppo, who is still adjusting, of course, to driving without the assist of ABS. You can see he's still, determining which line to take. Oh, Duke had to slam the brakes, almost sending it straight into the back of the Aston Martin there. And, it was a heart-in-mouth moment there for definitely Duke. I'll tell you what, that moment will bring Nuccio into the reckoning, possibly. But Duke knows what he has to do. Perhaps Duke's engineers will be telling him that, Seppo Temba is really struggling in the traction zones. But of course, Duke being Duke would have already noted what sort of struggles Seppo Temba is having. He would have wanted to be much closer coming into this main straight, but sadly for Duke, just going to have to bide his time and look for a potential overtake at a later stage. Thiago Maestro was eventually overtaken by Donathan Laka. What a drive it's been by the Williams driver. Look at that, 3 places gained in total since the start of this race. Thiago Maestro would have been trying, of course, to keep the Williams driver at bay, but Don is looking very comfortable, very good, very racy, and is now looking to trim that 1.2 seconds gap between himself and Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. Meanwhile, in the battle for the podium places, Django versus Seaflay, the former teammates turned fierce rivals, are battling it out now in lap 7 of 32 on a differing tire of compound, you would remember. So the longer this first stint goes on, Django's more durable hards will, of course, come into play and apply even more pressure to Seaflay. And this seems to be the moment where Django was going for it on the outside. Wheel to wheel they go, but Seaflay's not going to find it too bad. We'll just be content to hang on to the coattails of Smirch Django. But Seaflay has some battery power remaining. Look at that yellow bar in the bottom of the steering wheel. Meanwhile, look at Django's red lights flashing. So Seaflay will feel very, very comfortable that, he could just retake that P2 position from Django. All he needs to do is just bide his time. But I think that's, of course, that Django might not want to use up too much of his battery power. So it's going to be a battle of wits as both of these drivers try to harness as much electrical power as possible. Oh, there's a slow-moving Williams car down in the midfield. Was that the piece, I wonder? Yes, it possibly could have been. The yellow flags have been cleared now. I do wonder what might have happened there. It was an incident, a moment which happened off camera. But Cepiso seems to be running now. Yeah, thankfully we have not yet had any retirements or DNFs, which is good news as you hop back onto the other Williams, that being Jonathan Laka, who has been the protagonist of tonight's race as far as overtakes and battles are concerned. All throughout the midfield, he has been chipping away, has Jonathan Laka, at all these comers, all these contenders. First it was Zotal, then Thiago Maestro, when now it could yet be Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. They go side by side down the main straight, and Jonathan Laka once again is up. One more position. It's P4 for the Superstar Williams driver, who seems to be loving it on this iconic circuit here in Italy. Jonathan Laka with overtake after overtake, looking sensationally good with 9 elapsed in Italy. Beautiful stuff. Kobe versus Duke. Another battle here. Oh, the Haas driver thought about setting it on the inside, but Duke did not let him go at all. We've got a yellow flag on another portion of the track. It's a slow-moving Ferrari. It is Benuccio, possibly. And if he's not careful, he may yet get lapped over here. Oh, Kobe. Crucial error cost him. Oh no, there's the Ferrari of Django, who is now battling Jonathan Laka. Oh, Smirks Django has lost all that momentum. And now, it's Jonathan Laka, Debo Crocodile, who have caught up to the Ferrari driver, who is fighting for his life, breathing through the wound here. Kobe, we saw, make a crucial error, now racks up a 3-second time penalty. So it's all kicking off here in the 10th lap in Imola. Smirks Django, an uncharacteristic huge error, sending him tumbling down the order potentially. Here comes Jonathan Laka, who has looked nothing short of comfortable, nothing short of racy. Even Thiago Maestro has decided to join the party. Jonathan Laka on the outside of Smirks Django, who is flashing down to the smithereens of that battery power, and he's now up to the podium places. What a race for Jonathan Laka. Sensational stuff. Now has Cicle in its sights, but that gap is 6.5 seconds. Smirks Django under duress, under pressure, under all of the, pressure. What is a synonym for pressure? I do not know. I'm lost for words as I hop on board now to the driver who has a front row seat to this 4-way battle. It is Django, Jonathan Laka, Debo Crocodile, and Thiago Maestro in this 4-car fight. Jonathan Laka, the Williams driver, of course, looking to leave Django in the dust, as the rookie Thiago Maestro is looking to have his say versus Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman. What can Django do now as he tries to recover from that crucial error which has seen him tumble down this order now? Smirks Django, an error, unforced error, saw him tumbling down, lose a little bit of momentum, and possibly may yet be saying goodbye to the podium places come the end of this race. So much fighting and so much racing still to go here, folks, as Thiago has joined the action. Thiago is going on the attack versus Debo Crocodile down this main straight, but he's not going to be close enough to go for it. Django, meanwhile, is thinking about sending it versus Jonathan Laka. Oh, on the exit of that first chicane. Oh, Django and Jonathan Laka are both flashing. Oh, Django was looking for it on the inside, but is not going to be close enough to get it done. Oh, Jonathan Laka makes a crucial error, and through comes Django over here, and possibly Debo Crocodile. He's got front row seats to this huge battle. Jonathan Laka fights back, but it looks like Django has the superior speed in a straight line. They're going to go wheel to wheel to this left-hander, and Django on the outside has snatched that P3 spot back from Jonathan Laka. Here comes Debo Crocodile before the sequence of right-handers. Well, they make contact. No, they don't. But Thiago Maestro is now close enough to join the action and to get the front row seats to this battle, ostensibly for the third and final podium spot. I do wonder who is at risk of a 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings at this particular point. 11 laps, of course, only the drivers and the engineers will know who is at risk. Even Zotal has now joined the party as this 4-car battle now, as this 3-car battle extends to a 4-car fight, courtesy of the Red Bull driver joining in the action. I beg your pardon, make that 5-car. It's Zota, Thiago, Debo, Donovan Laka, and Smirch Django, who is now under pressure from Donovan Laka into the first chicane. They bang wheels! Coming into the first chicane, Smirch Django has the inside. Donovan Laka goes into the rubble. He loses out, and he looks like to have made a little bit of contact with Thiago Maestro, who somehow overtakes both Donovan Laka and Zotal. It is drama, 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 and Donovan Laka's crucial error perhaps was too eager there, and now has lost out. Donovan Laka went from being in the front of this 5-car fight all the way down to P7, P3 to P7 in the space of a couple of minutes. Crucial errors by Donovan Laka, going aggressive wheel-to-wheel versus Smirch Django, and right now has to contend with a fight back on a track where he's looked nothing short of absolutely comfortable. Seppo Temba, meanwhile, has come into the pits alongside Tsepiso, who pitted 2 laps ago. So those 2 drivers on a fresh set of hards on the Williams and Aston Martin, respectively. Drama in this 13th lap of a total 32. Zotal now looking very, very good to be challenging for that potential podium place. That moment, that dramatic moment we saw between Donovan Laka, Django, and the likes, of course, saw the likes of Zotal being pushed down further. And Donovan Laka waves the proverbial white flag. He says, you know what, in the 13th lap, I will come into the pits as Van Kobe racks up another 3-second time penalty for track limit incursions. Now, it is going to be a set of hard tires for Donovan Laka, who then gets overtaken by Duke as he was in the pit lane. Now, Zotal is hunting down Thiago Maestro. It is the battle for that 5th place, while Debo Crocodile is applying the pressure on Smirch Django for that 3rd and final podium spot. Django, of course, on those hards will have a longer first stint over here, so we'll see exactly how this will fare. Oh, the right-handers there. Smirch Django looking comfortable. Oh, what a beautiful what a beautiful middle part of this race we've had, folks. Really, really, really good stuff we've seen, battling pretty much all throughout this grid here. I'll tell you what, the 86er down in P11, Gallo Litsang, is hunting down the Nucho as Smirch Django's error-ridden race gets a 3-second time penalty to boot. Thiago Maestro is in the pits as Debo Crocodile is attacking the Ferrari ahead of him. But will he go for it? No. Lifts off the throttle well before the braking zone there. Debo Crocodile biding their time, not yet going for the overtake. Duke, the latest driver to get slapped with a 3-second time penalty, as it looks like the 86er has fallen behind the Nucho, considering they're quite close to a potential overtake over there. Debo is making Django eat with pipes, so says Mfundo in the comment section. Yep, applying all of the pressure in this midfield battle. 14 laps gone. Hard tires for Django, who started off so well, but yeah, uncharacteristic errors costing him dearly. Debo Crocodile knows what he has to do. Just has to keep it clean between now and the end of the race. Oh no! As I say that, he outbrakes himself. Oh no, on the exit of that chicane, and Zotel does not need a second invitation. He just says thank you very much and comes straight through. So Smirch Django can breathe and live to fight another day, as he now has 2.7 seconds daylight between himself and the chasing Debo Crocodile, who also waves the white flag proverbially and says, 13 laps are perhaps too much for me to handle in these conditions. He fits on a set of brand new hards, which he will presumably take towards the end of this race. We have had yellow flags, but no safety cars or virtual safety cars. So if it stays as is, we will then have to watch Debo Crocodile, Bongani, and Guenya very closely to see what he can do. Oh, meanwhile, look at that. Oh, it is Donovan Laka versus Thiago Maestro down the main straight. Don tried. He huffed and he puffed, but he could not overtake the AlphaTauri. Both of these cars have pitted. You're looking, of course, at these cars which had already come into the pits. Donovan Lacka pitted 1 lap before Thiago Maestro, but could not get this overtake done at the end of that particular lap. Thiago Maestro managing to hold off the Williams driver here in the 16th of a total 32 laps. Beautifully done by Thiago, whose battery power, that electrical power, as you can see that yellow bar, also running quite low, as was the case for Donovan Lacka. 14% for the Williams driver, 17 or 16% for the AlphaTauri of Thiago Maestro. Meanwhile, among the front runners, Cicle finally comes into the pits, and Zoltal follows suit. Of course, Zoltal is some way away. Cicle is already on the pit exit, while Zoltal is having their tires changed at this particular point in time. Can Thiago, Donovan Lacka get the jump, so to speak, on Zoltal, or will it be close but no cigar? Cicle will come out behind Smerts Django, of course, courtesy of that pit stop. And Donovan Lacka tries he might, not quite close enough to go for it versus Thiago Maestro. This, however, is Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, who has front row seats to that battle unfolding between Donovan Lacka and Thiago Maestro. Now on the outside is going to look to be much braver on the brakes, Donovan Lacka, but tries he might. Oh, Thiago Maestro making that car as wide as possible as the race leading Don Rabico finally comes into the pit as well, answering, of course, the potential undercut that Cicle tried to play, despite the gap between them being quite significant when Cicle came in. Now, Donovan Lacka is still now ahead of Thiago Maestro at this particular point in time. Finally, getting that move done did Donovan Lacka as Smerts Django goes into the lead of this race. Of course, going on that longer first tire stint. There was a yellow flag down. It looked like it might have been the 86er at another portion of the track behind this action that we're watching. Yellow flag has now been cleared. We are now watching Thiago try to catch back up to Donovan Lacka, who has looked nothing short of sensational as far as his own pace on this track is concerned. Tabanga Manguni says Ban Kobe is on a penalty spree. Yeah, it's a time penalty shootout as far as Ban Kobe is concerned. 6 seconds for him, Seppo Temba as well. 3 seconds each for Duke, the Nuccio, and the current leader of the race, Smerts Django. Welcome to Tier 1 BrakeAway Racing League action. Oh, make that 9 seconds for Ban Kobe at the back of the pack. Not looking very comfortable is Ban Kobe versus Seppo Temba, the two former teammates. Now going to battle at the back of this pack. Oh, Seppo Temba was weaving down the straight, and Ban Kobe will be waving his hands in anger, saying, hey, you cannot do that. Can Seppo Temba keep it together on the exit of this first chicane? He will try. Ban Kobe will apply the pressure. But will it be enough for him to get the overtake done? Ban Kobe just needs to watch that clearly and take advantage of any potential slip-ups that Seppo Temba makes. Meanwhile, Tepiso and the Nuccio are also pretty much nose to tail here, as the Williams driver is looking to apply even more pressure to the Ferrari contender, who already has a 3-second time penalty to his name. Quickest driver on track was your pole sitter, Don Rabico. 117.144 is the benchmark. The quickest lap of the day. And of course, the other drivers that are there or thereabouts, pace-wise, are Cicle, 117.7, and Smerts Django, 117.8. This is Tepiso on the outside of the Ferrari. Tepiso versus the Nuccio. Can he hang on to it? Yes is the answer. Well before the braking zone, Tepiso fights up to P8 to overtake the Nuccio. Ooh, makes an almighty error, which cost him precious few tenths of a second. Yeah, cost him. He was well within fighting distance here, but now 1.1 seconds behind the Williams. So work to do for the Nuccio here, but as I say that, guess who's joined the party? It is Duke, who is now in P10, looking to make that P9 in quick order, as it looks like Don Rabico has just overtaken Smerts Django down the main straight. So Don... Oh no! Duke hits the back of the Nuccio! Coming up the hill, and it's a huge moment, which sends the Ferrari driver careening off the track. And how much damage will that have cost Duke? perhaps outbreaking himself there in incidents that we saw similarly to one of the more recent races, and perhaps in apologies, Duke just let the Nuccio pass him there, outbreaking himself did Duke, and a crucial unforced error by the Alfa Romeo driver, costing him crucial momentum at this key part of the race. I do wonder if Duke took significant damage at this point. It doesn't look like he'll be coming in. It looks like the Nuccio is, however. Yeah, 6-lap old hards. Oh no, the Nuccio had yet to pit, I beg your pardon. So this is the Nuccio finally coming into the pits to change those aging hard compound tires. And the Nuccio will be running fresh mediums from now until the end of this race. The 86er Gallo Letang has just passed the Nuccio, who was in the pits, as Donovan Lacka becomes the latest driver to rack up a time penalty for track limit incursions. Django finally coming into the pits for his fresh mediums means C-Clay did not need to fight the Ferrari driver to go back up to P2. Don Ravico, peerless in this race thus far. He surged ahead at the first lap of this race and has pretty much gone unchallenged throughout this race. He's got 12 laps of racing still to go, and keeping it steady, keeping it clean, and without incident here. So Don Ravico looking very comfortable, looking very good, fighting it out in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome if you've just joined us. As Man Ray says, it's Epo Temba. That was a Ric Flair moment on Ban Kobe. And Fundo was answering the conversation there being had regarding soft tires in the comment section. Don Ravico, the class of the field, leading from C-Clay, who was 8.7 seconds behind. A further 14 seconds behind is Donovan Lacka, now under pressure from Thiago Maestro, the man that he overtook after that fierce battle they were having for quite a while. So running quite close to one another are the Williams and AlphaTauri respectively. It's a similar situation between Debo Crocodile and Zotal. Alpine versus Red Bull, running very, very closely, about 1.1 seconds separating those two contenders. On board we go with Thiago Maestro. It's the 21st of a total 32 laps, as Thiago Maestro will note that, of course, that red light is flashing on the back of Donovan Lacka's car, meaning he's down to about 10% or less of battery power remaining. Now, into the braking zone they come. We've seen Donovan Lacka make some mistakes on this part of the track in the earlier stages of this race, but he keeps it together, keeps his cool over here, and Thiago Maestro now seeing, of course, that the time penalty that Don has accrued, knows, of course, that he just needs to keep his own race squeaky clean, don't get any penalties, and it will be a podium place for Thiago Maestro in only the 4th race of this BrakeAway Racing League season. Man, what a day we've had. Welcome if you've just joined us. Please remember to like the stream if you have not done so already. Subscribe to our channel to catch this and even more tiers of a BrakeAway Racing League during their thing. Oh, is that Ban Kobe with a huge moment? Oh, it's a safety car, but why? It's Ban Kobe who had a huge moment and lost that front wing. It is absolutely gone on that Haas, and that will definitely shake things up between now and the end of proceedings. With about less than 10 laps of racing to go, we have a safety car. Now, racing is suspended, no overtaking allowed under safety car. They slowed down and will, of course, follow the safety car once all the cars have caught up. They will be bunched up behind, and I'll tell you what, Donovan Lacka rolls the dice behind the safety car. Fits on a set of softs, as does Thiago. And it is softs for Zotal and Debo Crocodile as well, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. All of these guys are rolling the dice early doors here, and we'll get a sense. They're about 30 seconds behind the race leaders who are still making the way around the track. Smirch Django had just pitted very recently for his mediums, so will he just opt to stay out? Will he just not see a need to come in at all? Oh, Don Rabico, what are you doing? Is he trying to lap some of the back markers? That might be the 86er there. It is the 86er that Don Ravico is really trying to push and push. Oh, who is that? It's Ben Colby, who is barely struggling to keep that car intact. Here comes Don Ravico finally into the pits as the 86er is trying so hard not to get lapped here by all of these guys. It is going to be softs for Don Ravico. What about C-Clay? Oh, and now it is going to be a straight scrap, a straight fight between these two championship contenders. Also, Smirch Django, don't you forget. At this point, he's not going to roll the dice unnecessarily, he will feel. Will come straight into the pits, but will he get overtaken by Donathan Laka? No, it does not look like it. It looks like Donathan Laka is way too far behind. So Smirch Django, despite those mistakes, now finds himself back well within the reckoning for a podium place. And courtesy of all these pit stops, we will see whether or not he can overtake. Yes, he does! Donathan Laka comes out ahead, as does Thiago Maestro. So Smirch Django, who would have felt that he needed to come into the pits for fresh tires, he did not want to get caught, especially when the race resumes after the safety car comes in. But of course, that cost Smirch Django 2 positions. Was third, comes out fifth, and Zotal will be there and thereabouts as well. Well, this is the situation under the safety car. Don Ravico, the championship leader, race leader, current defending champion, leads this race behind the safety car on a brand new set of soft tires. C-Clay right behind. Oh, he looks like the Haas of Ban Kobe is trying to unlap himself at this point in time. Oh, yeah, there goes Ban Kobe, or the ghost of Ban Kobe, unlapping themselves. Oh, 5-second time penalty for Ban Kobe for ignoring the yellow flag. Ban Kobe perhaps not caring about that. He's just unlapping himself. So it is Don Ravico from C-Clay from Donathan Laka. What a race it's been for the Williams superstar. Thiago Maestro currently fourth. What a season he is having if he can translate this performance into a podium place. Oh, Debo Crocodile. Track limit warnings under the safety car. Rookie mistakes by the Alpine driver. Django has a time penalty but is now running in fifth. Will not have it easy because Zotal will be right behind when the race resumes. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. Debo 3-second time penalty as we've just seen. Cepiso has no time penalties to contend with, which is very, very interesting considering his prospects for this race. Considering Debo's penalty, Django's penalty, Donathan Laka's penalty, and the possible warnings that each of the drivers ahead of Cepiso may have accrued. That is, of course, assuming Cepiso himself is not at risk. Oh, drive-through penalty for Ban Kobe for speeding under the safety car. Ban Kobe, remember, was trying to catch up to the back of the pack, but it looks like it is it's not going to be enough for Ban Kobe. Another drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So Ban Kobe was really trying to, number one, unlap himself. Oh, well, there it is. Ban Kobe opts to total his car. He says, no, all these penalties, I will take no further part in this race. And that is the end of Ban Kobe. You should have just come straight back into the pits. I will take no further part in this race. Hopefully, we will get the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Look at those penalties. 11 seconds for the Lucho, 9 for Tsepo Temba, and 3 each for Duke, Debo, Django, and Donathan Laka. Straight into the wall, says Mfundo. Tabangam and Goonie, says the softs. As get a sense of the tire battles, only Cepiso is running an alternate tire set. Medium tires for Cepiso. Perhaps the Williams driver will have the last laugh when all is said and done. Depending on the degree to which these soft tires will degrade when racing conditions are resumed. Welcome to BrakeAway Racing League. As Man Ray was saying earlier on, advantage Django. But presumably that could have been before Django opted to pit. Please like the stream if you have not done so already. And subscribe to our channel if you're new to these parts. This is the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. 86er trying desperately to catch up, and with just a couple of laps of racing remaining, will feel he has an opportunity to claim some points here. No time penalties versus the likes of Nucho Temba and Duke, who each have penalties of their own. Well, he will feel he's in with a shot here, the 86er, Galilith Sang. But work to do. First, he has to catch up, of course. Work to do for the 86er as race control gives the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Now, we saw the way that Caboza tried his best in the Tier 2 showcase to catch everybody off guard. What will Don Rabico do? How will Don Rabico try to gain an advantage in this field? The answer is he will send it now in this penultimate corner, and Cicle was not caught off guard, not significantly at least. He's still within touching distance over here as Don Rabico sends it screaming down the main straight. Donathan Laka in a prime position to have a say here in the podium places, depending on how Thiago's race goes. They're staying in the same formation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don Rabico, Cicle, Donathan Laka, and Thiago Maestro running in those top 4 spots. Smirch Django there and thereabouts, despite that time penalty that he has been contending with for most of this race. Zotal is also fighting for his life here. No time penalties for Zotal. It's a golden opportunity, possibly, for the Red Bull driver to have a say in the podium stakes here. There's a yellow flag on another portion of the track. It looks like a slow-moving 86er who's had some trouble here at the restart. On board we go with the P2 running Cicle, looking to hunt down the defending champion. Cicle looking to make it a 4th crown to his BrakeAway Racing League career. Lap 26 of a total 32. How intense will this get as this battle rages on along? It is Don Rabico versus Cicle versus Donathan Laka, who is doing sensationally well in this race on a track which he seemingly enjoys, does the Williams driver, despite having racked up that time penalty a little bit earlier on. Rich Django is looking to give Thiago Maestro the hurry up here. No penalties for Thiago. Of course, Django does have a penalty as Don Rabico sets the fastest time of the day, 16.567. Here comes Smirch Django. Which way will he go? He chooses the outside. The inside, slips to the inside. They go wheel to wheel. Oh, Django almost makes contact there with the back of the AlphaTauri, but try as he might, Thiago Maestro slams the door shut on the Ferrari driver, who has to bide his time and go for it at another time, another place, because Thiago said, not today, not on that corner, not on my watch. Now, back we go. The battle raging between Cicle and Don Rabico. Fierce competitors, fierce rivals in the BrakeAway Racing League stakes. They have gone toe-to-toe in friendly lobbies, but this is the real deal. This is for points. This, at the end of the season, is for the championship itself. Don Rabico looks to keep it together as Cicle gives nothing away in the sense of any loss of advantage. Oh, Thiago Maestro has overtaken Smirch Django once again. So these two briefly swapping positions, but Django is going to go on the attack once again. Oh, I barely know where to watch as the Nucho and Tempo Tempo are also having a titanic tussle further down in this midfield. Smirch Django has used up so much of his battery, now goes on the inside of Thiago down the main straight, and the AlphaTauri driver will look to fight it here. And now it is Cicle who is looking to overtake and apply the pressure on Don Ravico, but was not close enough to do it then. Thiago Maestro, back we go, as he will now see that that red light is flashing. Smirch Django has used up almost all of his battery power, and ahead of them, of course, you can see the Ferrari and Mercedes of Cicle and Don Ravico, who are having a huge battle here in this fight, essentially for the race win and indeed the podium places. Barely know where to look, as the battle in these top 4 places are so close. Nobody giving an absolute inch. Back on board with the McLaren we go. Cicle much more comfortable through those sequence of right-handers up the hill. Now towards the chicane. Who will be braver on the brakes? The answer was advantage Don Ravico over there. Just keeping a cool head, a cool, calm, collected head. Don Ravico knows that he is at risk here. Cicle may yet just be content to push Don Ravico along, knowing that on the penultimate or the final lap of this race is when he will absolutely send it in the fight for the win here in Imola. Cicle has DRS. Cicle, is he using ERS is the question. No, uses DRS and just takes the lead of this race. Now it's Don Ravico's turn to A, hang on to the coattails, and B, make sure that he harvests whatever remaining battery power he has. As you can see, that yellow bar is basically full. Nothing to separate these two drivers as far as pace and battery power is concerned, as lap 29 ticks right on along. The final couple of laps as we look to conclude this showcase over here, and Thiago and Smirch Django have also put on a heck of a show. More time penalties going the way of Tsepo Temba in these final stages of this race, and the two would-be winners just pushing each other along. And it's a game of chicken here, a game of who will blink first, who will make the first crucial error. Oh, Cicle pretty much just opens the way. It says, you know what, fine, you could just take the lead of the race there. So mind games being played here. Cicle knowing exactly what he wants to do on the second last lap and the final lap of this race. Here he comes now with DRS. He gets out of the slipstream and not quite going on the attack yet, or is he? No, he's just happy. He lifts off the throttle there, and it is going to be very close to watch. Meanwhile, Duke versus Donathan Laka, they go wheel to wheel, and Duke is now up to P6 on his recovery drive of his own in this race. Debo Crocodile is there and thereabouts. It's a 4-car fight from Duke down to Debo Crocodile. 3 cars, I beg your pardon. Duke, Donathan Laka, and Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, in the 30th lap of a total 32. Cepiso is attacking the Nucho meanwhile. This is the battle for 10th place, the final points position of this race. Can Cepiso do it? He has been imperious as far as keeping his car out of trouble as far as track limits are concerned. No time penalties for the Williams superstar. Is on 8-lap old medium, and of course, at this particular point in time, it is going to be advantage to Cepiso, who has the better set, the better compound of tire as far as durability is concerned. And as you can see, Nucho struggling to keep that rear in check. It just keeps on bobbing and weaving to the left and to the right as he's struggling for grip is the Nucho. So Cepiso knows what he has to do. Bare minimum is just stay within touching distance. Now, this is where things get very interesting between Cicle and Don Ravico, who have been oh so close to one another in this final penultimate lap of this race. Don Ravico managed to run away from Cicle at the beginning stages of this race, but the safety car really threw this race on its head, and Cicle now knows he has a golden opportunity to stake his claim on the lead of this championship in what has been a sensational return to the top tier. Cicle, the superstar, 3-time champion of the BrakeAway Racing League, has got something special, potentially. Oh, Don Ravico, slight twitch of the rear there, and Cicle would have noticed, would have paid very close attention to how that rear snapped on the back. Oh, but as I say that, Cicle himself has a slight twitch there coming through that chicane, and that gap, which was about 2/10 or 3/10, is now up to about 6/10 of a second. So each of these drivers starting to feel the tires, perhaps starting to feel the grip being at an absolute premium at this particular point of the race. And Don Ravico has crossed the line to begin the final lap of this race. And I'll tell you what, at this particular point, Ciclay is down to about 57%. Don Ravico, in trying to keep his advantage, is down to about 24% of remaining battery power. On board we go with Ciclay into the second chicane of this track. They're going to be oh so close now. And Don Ravico, are you feeling the pressure being applied here at the sharp end of the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League? Who is going to take it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and predictions as we look to conclude this final part of this race. Is it going to be a drag race towards the line somehow? Oh, I tell you what, it's advantage Ciclay as far as battery power is concerned. Oh, does he have a slight twitch of the rear there? No! He's so close. He's applying all the pressure, giving him no room to rest whatsoever. Oh! Into the entry of the chicane there, had a slight movement in Ciclay, costing him a precious few tenths. And is this the moment that Don Ravico hangs on to win this race? No, not quite. Not yet. Not on my watch, says Ciclay. The penultimate corner. Now the final corner. He needs to be inch perfect, does the McLaren driver. And then it's going to be a photo finish. Oh, well, it's going to be so close, but it looks like Don Ravico wins in the final lap by the skin of his teeth. And Ciclay comes home in P2. Oh, Don Ravico, Smirch Django has a moment, and Thiago Maestro in his debut season is on the podium in the top tier BrakeAway Racing League. Smirch Django is going to finish 4th, Zotel 5th, Duke comes home in 6th, Donovan Laka 7th, Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, and Tempo Temba 9th, the Nucho 10th, and it's a huge battle with Tapiso here. The Nucho just gives that away courtesy of those time penalties. Tapiso will finish 9th courtesy of all those time penalties, and it looks like the 86er will come home there in P12. What a finish, says Mfundo in the comment section. Absolutely. It could have been an absolute photo finish between the top two drivers, but I'll tell you what, it is very, very interesting stuff that we have seen here. Don Ravico, Ciclay, Thiago Maestro, your three occupants of the podium. And the first driver to join us in the commentary box is none other than Don Ravico. Congratulations. Take us through that. You were, peerless in qualifying. Sensational stuff. And you said you still had more in the bag. Just take us through that race. And, it got turned on its head. Ciclay applying the pressure at the end there.
I mean, it was a boring race, to be honest with you. You know, most of the race I was alone, chilling. I even got bored. I was losing focus. I was losing concentration. So that safety car made things a bit exciting. Yeah, for the last couple of we made it a bit exciting. Yeah, that's it from me, guys. I mean, like, the championship is done, guys. It's finished.
Oh, wow.
Right? I mean, I'll see you guys the next race. What you want me to do, guys? I mean, who's next?
Wow. So feeling very, very confident. You did say last week that this is one of your preferred tracks, but you also said the inverse in the comment section, that you did not quite get as much practice time as you would have wanted. So how much were you feeling that, it didn't look like you were feeling it, actually, in qualifying and in the race itself?
Yeah, actually, I wasn't feeling too confident with my pace, because I barely got any practice with too much work I've been having these days. I barely managed to try to get a setup together, and that's all I did. But I'm not sure what happened to Ciclay. I don't know what his excuse will be today. He probably is gonna say a wrong setup or broke his wing.
Let's hear from the fans.
Yeah. That's what happens when you steal people's setups.
Yeah, bruh. With those mediums, bruh.
That's what happens when you steal people's setups. That's not my setup. That's TT's setup. You know, I would never put my setup on the TT. Would never ever put my. That's TT.
I was just like, yes, in fuck. I also didn't get in any really great practice. I was on time trial nje lapho nalapho during the week.
Yeah, yeah.
Khona, bruh.
But Sihle, oh man, after the safety car, you were giving each other no breathing room like whatsoever. You were on his tail. You guys were swapping the leads or playing mind games about who's going to go leading into the penultimate race. Just tell us through how you felt for most of the race up until the safety car and after the safety car, because it felt like, I don't know, it felt like you just kicked it up a gear.
bruh, I had to lower the wings. I think there was 36, nah? I think there was 36 or something
The
like
one
that.
on TT was 38, 32.
Bruh, yeah, I had to lower it, bruh, like so much.
You know
I
what?
think
Guess what I was running? Guess.
you.
40.
That's why in straight line speed and corners you are moving, eh?
In the corners I was moving. Straight line you were catching.
Yeah, straight line, yeah, I saw. But corners, bruh, I had no, yeah,
No grip.
that setup has no grip. Yeah, even in quali, I ran it as is initially with the full tire pressures.
Yeah.
And my tires were running at like 105 degrees and I was sliding with that first lap. So I was like, nah, let me lower it. Went out with used ones again, then I saw it, okay. Then the last one. But yeah, no, never again. Besides that though, yeah, I had
Don't
lost
touch my
hope before
setups
that.
again.
Yeah, no, I trust my own now, bro. I trust my own. Yeah, besides that, yeah, it was me. It was just me.
Was that all right?
Yeah, it was just me. Even after the safety car, I kept locking up there and there, even after changing. So it was, I nearly spun in front of Don even. Yo, I was saving the car today.
I saw.
Yo,
You nearly pulled the Leclerc.
yo, I was
Man.
saving that car today. I was just saving the car this race.
Wow, man. It's beautiful stuff from both of you. I also want to bring in, of course, for their first appearance on the podium this season, in their debut season in the top tier. It's really been a progressive sort of set of performances from this person. Tiago, congratulations. Take us through that, how you felt, number one, about like your own quality performance. And then we saw you just getting involved in some early incidents, of course, which, you happen to be a victim of certain incidents. Just take us through that race. Congratulations. Podium.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I'd like to congratulate the guys. That's P1 and P2 as well. They're doing well to set an example for the rest of us. But as a collective perspective from my side, the quali experience was great. Not in terms of where I ended. Like I think it was P5 or P6. So I ran about 40 wings as well. So it was high downforce, to be honest. Same as Don. But I really needed to do introspection after yesterday's practice. I saw that the graining phase initially was very hard on the tires. So you just need to have some patience and discipline because it always comes back to you. So as soon as we've done that, I just needed to maintain the positions because Jonathan Laka, I think he was pulling away from me in the first stint. And then at the end of the first stint, I gained back with him. So the safety car made me realize that we might just get him at the end. And both him and Smirch Django just got the 3-second time penalties. I was on I think 2 warnings for the last 5 laps.
Wow.
So I just needed to maintain discipline, and I thought that this was the podium, and it materialized like that.
And it did, man. Kept it clean, kept your nose out of trouble. Could you take us through, in that, I think in the opening lap, there was an incident. Of course, Duke went tumbling down the order. From your vantage point, what did you see and how did you avoid the worst of that?
Yeah, basically it was driving like driving on the mountain passes through the mist. We just needed to focus on the next 50 or 20 meters if it wasn't less than that. So focusing on that, I just needed to keep my wing intact because you don't want to be in the midfield with a broken wing and having to pit early on harder tires or things like that. So that was going through my mind. Luckily escaped unscathed, and it was a great race further onwards. We just needed to maintain the pace in the Delta.
Absolutely. Beautiful stuff, Tiago. Can't wait to see what more you have for us in the bag. Just finally, I'll come to you, Don Rabic. I'll ask each of you this question. I'll start with Citley. Citley, we've seen you break some hearts at Circuit Paul Ricard. We've seen there was a classic race years ago where you took a race win on the final lap of the race. In these newer cars, how do you feel around that circuit? Because that's the one coming up next.
I don't have much practice. I don't know when last I touched that track. I don't know. I honestly don't know. We'll see. I can't promise to practice, but yeah, we'll see how it goes for this coming week. But yeah, hopefully I'll come strong. Just hopefully I'll come strong.
Hopefully. And Don, France coming up next. Yo, Don.
I mean France. What are we racing next? France?
Yep, Paul Ricard.
I mean, what can I say? I'm the Don. So, we do what we do. We do what the Don do, man. I mean, like, what can I say that hasn't been said already?
Love the confidence. Love the confidence. Look, I look forward to it, man. Tiago, as well, it's going to be our first time getting watching you live in France. How do you generally feel on that track?
Yeah, I particularly feel good, especially within the last part of the first sector. Is pretty technical. It sets you up for the straight there. But Don always gave me some stick in our private group with respect to not being consistent enough. So if I can keep getting close to the podiums and racking up the points, I'll state my claim to be worthy of driving in BrakeAway Tier 1.
Beautiful stuff, man. You've been really sensationally entertaining since joining the BrakeAway stable. So we love watching you do your thing. Same as well to you, three-time champ Citley, and of course the defending champion Don Rabico. Thank you all for a beautiful showcase here in Italy. We will see all three of you next week.
One more thing, guys. Thiago, congratulations on the podium. Let's go, man.
Yes, man.
Cheers, guys.
Good stuff.
Cheers.
Have a beautiful one. Cheers. Well, there go our drivers. I'm just going to catch up with the rest of the comments. Thank you to Bangam and Goonie saying sensational stuff. Always looking forward to seeing Rabico and Citley racing. Debo Crocodile saying, I underfueled by so little. Sadly there, costing upon Gani. And Titus says, what an epic ending. Citley gave Rabico a run for his money. What a finish, says Infundo. Man Ray says, he was leaving it to the last lap. Speaking, of course, of that nice battle between the top two drivers. Well, you will certainly enjoy that if you go back to watch this race again. What a beautiful advertisement for the BrakeAway Racing League. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join us next week, Thursday, 7:30 Central African time, or it could be 8 p.m. depending on driver availability. But Tier 2 also races 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. That is Central African time. Thank you, everybody, for joining BrakeAway Racing League. Thank you and good night.